from the fastest match.
Wait a minute, roll up by Aaliyah, shoulders are down, Aaliyah wins! Holy hell!
To the youngest wrestler, these are WWE records that'll never be broken. But first, let's talk about a record nobody wants to break. In 2003, WWE signed a wrestler named Steve Chamberlain. Chamberlain sadly lost his right leg in a motorcycle accident, but after years of hard work, everything paid off when he got a WWE contract. However, it turned out to be a mistake. See, WWE did want a one-legged wrestler on their roster, just not Steve Chamberlain. They actually meant to sign Zach Gowen, a wrestler who had also lost his leg. Once WWE realized they had signed the wrong guy, they ended Chamberlain's contract. This gave Steve the unfortunate record of having the shortest WWE career, lasting just 7 days, and he wrestled 0 matches. On the flip side, Kane holds the record for wrestling more matches than any WWE wrestler. The Big Red Machine wrestled a whopping 2,824 matches in his entire WWE career. While some wrestlers put in the miles, others make history in just a few seconds. In 2000, Taz wanted a match against Chris Jericho and Jerry Lawler. The Raw commissioner, Mick Foley, agreed and put Taz in a tag team match against Jericho and Lawler. Foley also chose Taz's tag team partner, Mideon, which led to this. Dude got beat in 2 seconds, which set a record for the shortest match in WWE history. On the flip side, over 17 years later, fans witnessed the longest match when Seth Rollins, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Elias, Finn Balor, The Miz, and Braun Strowman faced off in a gauntlet match. While Braun was the ultimate winner, all 7 of these men were part of history. From start to finish, this match lasted 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 55 seconds, making it the longest match in WWE history. While that is pretty long, it's not nearly as long as what Roman Reigns did. You see, the head of the table was WWE World Champion for 1,316 days, or about 3.5 years. That's impressive, but he still isn't the longest reigning world champion though. In 1963, Bruno Sammartino defeated Buddy Rogers to become the WWE World Champion. However, it wouldn't be until 1971 that Bruno finally lost it. That gave Sammartino a world title reign of 2,803 days, or 7 years and 9 months. To put that in perspective, the time from Stone Cold Steve Austin's WWE debut to his retirement match at WrestleMania 19 was only 2,660 days. But who holds the record for the shortest world title reign? Well, you would be surprised. In 1988, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant had a rematch after their iconic WrestleMania 3 match. Hogan was the champion, but thanks to a crooked referee, Andre won and became the new WWE champion. However, in a very unusual move, Andre immediately sold the world title to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This meant that Andre the Giant was only world champion for 1 minute and 46 seconds. But that wasn't the only record that was created that night. Hogan and Andre's rematch brought in 33 million viewers, making it the most watched WWE match on TV. But that doesn't mean it's the most watched WWE match. In late 2011, The Rock returned to the ring, teaming up with John Cena in the Great One's first match in over 7 years. The powerhouse duo took on The Miz and R-Truth and sent them packing. With the match now on WWE's YouTube channel, it's been viewed over 250 million times, making it not just the most watched WWE match in history, but the most watched wrestling match of all time. But what about butts and seats? Which wrestling show had the highest attendance? Well, in 1995, New Japan Pro Wrestling and World Championship Wrestling, or WCW, ran a show together in North Korea. Because of a government mandate, the event brought in 165,000 people, making it the biggest wrestling show in history. To put that in perspective, if you added up the attendance for both night 1 and 2 of WrestleMania 41, you would still be 47,620 fans short. Speaking of WrestleMania, we all know that The Undertaker holds the record for the longest undefeated streak at the event, with 21 consecutive wins. But who holds the opposite record? Well, from 1996 to 2018, Goldust competed at 12 WrestleManias and never won a single match. The guy couldn't even put Maven away. But talking about the dead man, it's not surprising that the Phenom also holds the record for the longest WWE entrance. At WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker took 7 minutes and 3 seconds to complete his entrance, setting an all-time record. To put that in perspective, The Shield had a 6-man tag team match that same night, and it lasted less than 3 minutes. But the real question is, who has the shortest WWE entrance? Well, that record is shared by Paul London and Brian Kendrick. When these guys were a tag team, they entered the ring in under 5 seconds. In fact, they were so quick that sometimes they would actually slide out of the ring.
Here comes another top cruiserweight. Yeah.
with a sliding activity. Look out!
Now this WWE wrestler holds a pretty weird record. In 1983, Big John Studd took on Andre the Giant. During the match, Studd locked Andre in a headlock, and he held it, and held it, and held it. It started to go on so long that fans thought Andre was never going to get up. In fact, it took 8 minutes and 30 seconds before Andre finally fought out of it, which made this the longest headlock in WWE history. I told you it was weird, but another wrestler made headlines for something much more costly. Back in 2002, Stone Cold Steve Austin was frustrated with the creative direction WWE was going. This ultimately led to Stone Cold legitimately walking out of the company, and he would be gone for 8 months. Austin did eventually come back, but he probably wished he hadn't. Because of him quitting so abruptly, WWE fined Stone Cold $250 million, the largest fine a WWE wrestler has ever been hit with. Maybe Floyd Mayweather could have helped them out, because at WrestleMania 24, Mayweather made history. Not only did he defeat The Big Show, but Floyd also made bank. Afterward, the boxing legend was paid $20 million, the most money anyone has ever been paid for a single wrestling match. One person who could have used some of that bread was Stu Hart, because the Canadian wrestling legend holds one of the most unique records. A lot of fans know Stu Hart as the father of Bret and Owen Hart, but those weren't the only kids Stu had. In fact, Stu Hart had a total of 12 children, more than any other wrestler, and all with the same woman. That's one record, but Ric Flair has Stu Hart beat at another. The Nature Boy holds the record for sleeping with the most women. You're not gonna believe me when I say the number, so I'll let the Nature Boy do the talking.
How many women do you think you've been with?
Realistically, 10,000 maybe.
Flair must have an S-tier pullout game because he only ended up having 4 kids. While I can't confirm it, I'm sure Ric Flair lasted longer than Santino Marella.
No fist, Kate. Oh, what? Good Lord!
In 2009, Santino Marella set an unbreakable record when he's eliminated from the Royal Rumble in 2 seconds. But on the other side, who has spent the most time in the Rumble? Well, in 2018, WWE held the Greatest Royal Rumble. What made it the greatest was that it had 50 entrants. The first man who entered was Daniel Bryan, and while many men came and went, Bryan stayed in there. In fact, Daniel Bryan stayed in the match for 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 5 seconds, a record nobody has been able to beat. Now, here's a weird Royal Rumble record. There's only one person who has entered the same Rumble match 3 times. During the 1998 Royal Rumble, Mick Foley entered as number 1 under his Cactus Jack persona. After spending almost 10 minutes in the match though, Jack was eliminated. However, Mick Foley got a second chance when he re-entered the match at number 16 as Mankind. However, Mankind also got eliminated, but Foley wasn't done yet. As the 28th entrant, Mrs. Foley's baby boy entered as Dude Love. Unfortunately, the third time was not the charm, and Foley once again went over the top rope. Mick couldn't escape elimination, but this wrestler went for years without taking an L. Now, WWE will tell you that Andre the Giant had the longest undefeated streak, and Hulk Hogan will tell you that he had the longest undefeated streak, but neither of these are true. So, who actually had the longest undefeated streak in WWE? From her debut on October 7, 2015 until WrestleMania 34 on April 8, 2018, Asuka was completely undefeated. The Empress of Tomorrow went 914 days without losing and won 277 matches. It's safe to say that Asuka is WWE's biggest winner, so who is the biggest loser? Well, from November 9th, 2016 until April 7th, 2019, Kurt Hawkins lost every match he had. It wasn't until Hawkins, along with his tag team partner Zack Ryder, won the Raw Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 35, that Hawkins finally got a W. This gave Kurt Hawkins a losing streak of 269 matches, and that lasted 879 days. We all know in WWE though, it's not just about winning, but winning gold, and John Cena has won a lot of it. The leader of the C Nation has won 17 world championships, but someone else holds the title for most championship wins. From the time when the 24/7 championship was introduced in 2019 to when it was literally thrown away in 2022, R-Truth won that title an impressive 54 times. This means Truth has the most championship wins of any wrestler in the world. Now, imagine holding not 1, but 2 WWE records before hitting puberty. This kid can say that. You see, in 2018, Braun Strowman became the #1 contender for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The only problem was, Braun didn't have a partner. Like a school essay, Strowman waited until the last minute to find someone to tag with. He asked the crowd who wanted to team with him, and he ended up picking a 10-year-old kid named named Nicholas. Despite having zero wrestling experience, Nick and Braun won the match. This made Nicholas not only the youngest person to win a WWE match, but he also became the youngest champion in WWE history. On the other side of the age spectrum, who is the oldest person to ever wrestle a WWE match? In 2010, WWE hosted a special old school edition of Monday Night Raw that featured a number of wrestlers from WWE's past. Mae Young was one of the legends in attendance, and at 87 years old, she fought Layla and Michelle McCool in a no disqualification match. With a bit of help, Mae Young was able to win and set the record for the oldest person to compete in a WWE match. Now, who holds the record for the world's tallest wrestler? I guarantee it's someone you do not know. So to find out, watch the video on screen.